Alrighty. I have another thing to talk about. Oh, it's something totally different. Um, this is something music related, and it's on the keyboard topic. So, I wonder if I've ever told you about my love for organs. Um, and specifically, I'm going to be talking about the so-called Vox Continental combo organ. So I'm going to explain it and give the description, the history, and you'll possibly get to hear what it sounds like in case you don't know what a Vox Continental or just the combo organ itself sounds like. So compared to a normal organ and like a Hammond organ, and the Vox Continental is smaller in size. It's not like a Hammond organ that could take up so much space. The Vox Continental actually is like the size of like a 49 key keyboard. Basically, it looks like this. That is a Vox Continental. Pretty good for size. It's got a few drawbars on it. It's got only a vibrato for effects. They were made at Vox's manufacturing plant in Dartford, England. And they were used by so many bands, such as the Beatles, the Animals, the Doors, Iron Butterfly, Elvis Costello, and Madness. They have a much different organ sound than what you would expect from a Hammond organ. Basically like this. Yeah, so that's what a Vox Continental sounds like. As you can tell, it started out soft and it starts to get very sharp, and at the end you experience the vibrato effects. It's got about 6 drawbars on it. Alright, I'm going to take you through the history. They also have a Super Continental version, and that features 2 levels of keys. It's almost like what a normal organ has. So the Vox Continental was first manufactured by the Jennings Musical Instruments Factory in Dartford, Kent, in 1962. Most of the components for the organ were subcontracted to other companies, with Jennings working on the final assembly. The original cabinets were constructed by Health Point Timer in Rayleigh, Essex, while some of the electrics were made by Kimber Allen in Swanley, Kent. Jennings sold part of the company to the Royston Group in 1963. Production later moved to Vox Sound in Erith, Kent. The dual manual Continental was introduced in 1965. That same year, the single manual model sold for $995, which would have been $9,600 in 2023. the the Vox Jaguar was introduced as a budget version of the Continental the following year, retailing at $495, which in 2003 would have been $4,600, which used rocker tabs instead of drawbars. Only fundamental frequencies could be produced on the Jaguar, as it lacked the circuitry to generate additional harmonics like the Continental has. The tabs allowed a choice of flute, bright, brass, and mellow, a bass chords option, and the vibrato as found on the Continental. The bottom octave could be switched to a monophonic sub-octave bass generator, which was routed to a separate audio jack. Though the Jaguars superficially resembled the Continental, the sound was significantly different. However, it was still popular, particularly in the US. The Jaguar was also sold in DIY kit form, allowing musicians to save money by finishing certain aspects of the assembly on their own. The Continental quickly became popular as it was advertised as part of the British invasion in the mid-1960s, particularly after being endorsed by the Beatles. In order to increase supply, a licensing deal was signed between Jennings and the Thomas Organ Company in the U.S. in 1966. Later that year, production for the U.S. market was moved to EME in Italy for economic reasons. Thomas held a 30% stake in the EME factory, with Jennings and Royston holding 22%. The Italian Continentals used cheaper plastic keys glued to metal shafts that were easier to break. There were also some minor cosmetic differences compared to older models, including a different vinyl covering, colors on the drawbar tips, and construction of the stand. By 1969, the price of the Continental had dropped to $599, which in 2023 it would have been $8,300. In 1966, Vox produced the guitar organ, which put the internals of a Vox Continental in a Vox Phantom guitar body, and used a series of contacts along the frets so that a note would sound when a string was depressed onto a fret. John Lennon was given a simple instrument in the hope, a sample instrument, sample instrument in the hopes he would promote it, but it was never recorded and the instrument never entered full production. In 1967, Thomas manufactured the Voxmobile as a promotional instrument designed by a custom car designer, George Barris. It combined a dual manual Vox Continental with two oversized Vox basses, which were mounted on a 289cc Ford Cobra engine. The Continental was introduced in 1968, which combined the usual Continental manual with a multi-tremble one similar to that on other Thomas organs, and included a built-in amplifier. It sold for $1,598, whereas in 2023 that would have been $14,000. Significantly more than the Super Continental, the additional sounds included banjo, harpsichord, and celeste. It was considered unreliable and expensive, and it did not sell well. Jennings struggled to retain control of the Vox and chief designer Dick Denny was fired on September 19th, 1967. With employees loyal to him leaving shortly afterwards, Royston filed for bankruptcy 2 years later. The company was bought by Continental Securities, who attempted to reintroduce a range of Vox Continentals, with the price of the Super Continental reduced from $1,999 $7,500 as of 2023 to $265 $2,000 as of 2023. By then, groups were preferring to use a Hammond organ and a Leslie speaker instead of a Vox combo. Most of the remaining assets were sold at a liquidation sale in 1971. There are no definite figures for how many Vox Continentals were manufactured. However, estimates based on serial numbers include 9,100 single manual organs were manufactured. Around 4,100 of these come from the UK, followed by 4,000 from Italy and 1,000 in the US. The Vox name was later sold to Rose Morris, who in turn sold it to Korg in 1992. Since then, new products carrying the trademark Vox have been primarily for the guitar player, and the Korg trademark appears on most keyboards. In September 2017, Korg released a workstation-style keyboard named in honor of the Vox Continental, and highlighting the particular Continental organ sound, competing with contemporary keyboards such as a Nord Electro. The original Vox Continental is still used by collectors of vintage instruments. The Vox Continental has gotten its sound put on other keyboards, just like it said, the Nord Electro or other Nord keyboards. At my local guitar center, they have, I think, was this Nord Stage 4. They have all kinds of organ sounds. They have the Hammond organ. They also have Vox or combo organ sounds. There have been so many incredible ones. There's been so many people who have played one of these. You would also know that Alan Price of the Animals played a Vox Continental. As you can hear in House of the Rising Sun, and that organ and that you're hearing in that song is indeed a Vox Continental. Ray Manzarek of the Doors played a Vox in combination with a Fender Rhodes piano bass early in the group's career. You could hear it in Light My Fire. Paul Revere, Dick of Paul Revere and the Raiders, switched from a Farfisa organ to a Vox and became endorsed by the company. If you listen to "I'm a Believer" by the Monkees, you can hear the Vox Continental in that song. Question Mark and the Mysterious song 96 Tears features a Vox Continental. Yeah, overall, this organ is just legendary. So much to hear. It's got an amazing sound compared to his bigger brother, the Hammond organ. It's just amazing. All right, and that about wraps this up. Thank you for watching, and peace out.